the waitress who rejected a billionaire, only to serve him breakfast the next morning. The coffee pot slipped from Emma's hand, crashing onto the diner floor in a spectacular explosion of glass and dark liquid. But she barely noticed. Because standing in the doorway of Miller's 24-hour diner, looking completely out of place in his $1,000 suit, was the same man she'd humiliatingly rejected at the charity gala just 8 hours ago. Their eyes met. His widened in recognition. Hers filled with absolute horror. This could not be happening. Let me take you back to where this disaster began. My name is Emma Cole, and yesterday morning, I was just a 28-year-old waitress working double shifts to pay off my late father's medical bills. I had no idea that by midnight, I'd be committing what my best friend Jess would later call the most epic romantic catastrophe of the century. It started when Jess burst into our shared apartment waving 2 tickets like they were made of gold. Emma. Emergency. My cousin bailed on the Children's Hospital fundraiser tonight and you're coming with me. I looked up from my laptop where I was designing graphics for my slowly growing freelance business. The business I ran between diner shifts, during my lunch breaks, and at 2 a.m. when sleep felt like a luxury I couldn't afford. Jess, I have the morning shift tomorrow. I can't go to some fancy party. It's not a party, it's a gala. There's a difference. And yes, you can. You're always working, Emma. When's the last time you did something fun? Fun doesn't pay bills. No, but it keeps you human. Jess pulled me off the couch. Besides, there will be rich people there. Maybe you'll catch someone's eye. Marry rich. Solve all your problems. I laughed bitterly. Right. Because wealthy men are just lining up to marry broke waitresses with student debt and medical bills. That's definitely how real life works. You never know, Jess said, already pulling a dress from my closet. Cinderella was basically unemployed and look how that turned out. 3 hours later, I stood in the ballroom of the Plaza Hotel, feeling like an imposter. My dress was borrowed, my shoes pinched, and I was surrounded by people who probably spent more on their watches than I made in a year. I didn't belong here, and everyone knew it. You look like you're about to bolt, a voice said beside me. I turned to find a man in an impeccable navy suit, holding 2 champagne glasses. He was attractive in that polished, expensive way. Perfect hair, perfect teeth, perfect everything. The kind of man who'd never had to worry about choosing between groceries and electricity. Is it that obvious? I asked. Only to someone who knows what to look for. He handed me a glass. James Peterson. And you are? Emma. Emma Cole. Well, Emma Cole, what brings you to this gathering of Manhattan's most self-important citizens? I laughed despite myself. My best friend dragged me here. You. Obligation. My family expects me to show up to these things, write a check, and network with other people writing checks. There was something off about his smile. Practiced, like he'd perfected it in a mirror. But I was tired, and the champagne was good, and it felt nice to talk to someone who wasn't asking me for a coffee refill. So what do you do, Emma? He asked. Here it was. The moment where I'd reveal I was nobody, and he'd politely excuse himself to find someone worth his time. I'm a waitress. At Miller's Diner in Brooklyn. I waited for the judgment, the subtle disappointment. Instead, James leaned in closer. How refreshingly honest. Most people here would have said something vague about being between opportunities. I'm also a graphic designer, I added quickly. Freelance. I'm building my client base. Ambitious and beautiful. Interesting combination. The way he said beautiful made me uncomfortable. There was something calculating in his eyes, like he was appraising an investment. But before I could respond, Jess appeared, looking panicked. Emma, we need to go. Now. What? Why? I'll explain in the car. Come on. She grabbed my arm, then noticed James. Sorry to interrupt. As Jess dragged me toward the exit, I looked back at James. It was nice meeting you. Wait, he called out. Can I get your number? Here's where I made my first mistake. I was flustered, being pulled away, and I just wanted to escape the uncomfortable intensity of his attention. I don't think that's a good idea, I said. We're from completely different worlds. This was just a nice conversation, nothing more. His perfect smile faltered. People around us had stopped to watch. And I realized, too late, that I'd just publicly rejected someone in front of his peers. I see, he said coldly. Well, enjoy your diner, Emma. The emphasis on diner felt like a slap. Jess pulled me out before I could respond. In the car, Jess explained that her ex-boyfriend was at the gala, and she'd panicked. I'm sorry for pulling you out like that. Wait, what happened with that guy? I think I just rejected someone important, I said, feeling sick. Emma, that was James Peterson. As in Peterson Industries. As in billions of dollars. As in one of the most eligible bachelors in New York. I put my head in my hands. I told him we were from different worlds. Oh my God. That's so romantic and so stupid at the same time. But I stood by my decision. Men like James Peterson didn't date women like me. They played with us, got bored, and moved on. I'd seen it happen to other girls. I wasn't going to be another story. I went home, scrubbed off the makeup, and set my alarm for 5 a.m. Because unlike Cinderella, my real life didn't stop just because I'd gone to a ball. Which brings us to this morning. My 6 a.m. shift at Miller's. The shift where I was supposed to be safe in my normal routine, serving truckers and insomniacs and early morning commuters. The shift where James Peterson walked through the door at exactly 6:47 a.m. I stood frozen in a puddle of spilled coffee, glass crunching under my shoes, staring at the man I'd rejected 8 hours ago. Emma, my manager George called from the kitchen. You okay out there? Fine, I squeaked, not taking my eyes off James. Just dropped something. James walked to the counter and sat down. Right in my section. Of course. I grabbed the broom with shaking hands, swept up the glass, and mopped up the coffee. Every second, I felt his eyes on me. When I finally couldn't avoid it anymore, I walked over with my notepad. Good morning. What can I get you? Coffee, he said. Black. And the number of the woman who told me last night that we were from different worlds. My face burned. Look, about that. I'm not here to make you uncomfortable, Emma. I'm here because I actually do come to this diner sometimes. Have for years. Miller makes the best pancakes in Brooklyn. I blinked. You come here? Why didn't you say something last night? You didn't ask what I did. You told me what you did, and I was interested in getting to know you, not having you know my net worth before my personality. Guilt twisted in my stomach. I'm sorry for how I handled things last night. It was rude. It was honest, James said. Painfully honest. Do you know how rare that is in my world? Everyone wants something from me. Money, connections, status. You wanted nothing. It was refreshing and terrifying in equal measure. I'm still not interested in dating you, I said, surprised by my own boldness. Not because you're not attractive or successful, but because I know how this story ends. You're bored, you think slumming it with the waitress will be exciting for a while, and then you go back to your real life. I can't afford to be someone's temporary adventure. Something flickered in James's eyes. Hurt, maybe. Or respect. That's quite an assumption about my character. It's not personal. It's pattern recognition. George called from the kitchen. Emma. Table 4 needs their check. Your coffee, I said, pouring him a cup. Pancakes. Please. I walked away, feeling his eyes follow me. For the next hour, I served my other customers while hyper-aware of James sitting at the counter, eating pancakes and reading a newspaper like he belonged here. Like this was normal. When I brought his check, he said, I'd like to make you an offer. I'm not sleeping with you. He laughed. Not that kind of offer. Though your directness is really something. He pulled out a business card. My company needs a designer for a project. Freelance work. Pays well. Interested? I stared at the card. Why? Because you said you were building your freelance business. Because I saw your work on your laptop when you were at the gala. You left it open when your friend pulled you away. The designs were good. Really good. You're offering me a job to get me to date you. I'm offering you a job because you're talented. If you happen to realize I'm not the villain in your assumed story, and you want to get coffee sometime, that's separate. No pressure. No expectations. I should have said no. Every instinct told me this was a trap. But the number on that card, the fee for the freelance work, Would cover 2 months of my father's medical debt. One project, I said. Strictly professional. Strictly professional, he agreed. Though I reserve the right to keep eating breakfast here. The pancakes really are excellent. That's how it started. Me, too stubborn to admit I might have misjudged someone. Him, too persistent to accept rejection. And a stack of pancakes that somehow became the foundation of something neither of us expected. Over the next 3 weeks, I worked on James's project. A complete rebrand for a new division of Peterson Industries focused on affordable healthcare technology. He gave me creative freedom I'd never experienced, trusted my instincts, and paid me fairly without making me feel like charity. We met twice a week to review progress. Always in coffee shops, always professional. But slowly, I started to see beyond the perfect suit and practiced smile. James was funny. Self-deprecating in a way that seemed genuine. He remembered details I mentioned in passing. The way I took my coffee. My favorite color. The fact that I was saving for art classes. Why waitressing? He asked one afternoon, reviewing layouts on my laptop. Because it pays better than most entry-level design jobs, and the hours are flexible enough for freelance work, I said. Not everyone gets to start at the top, James. That's not what I meant. I'm just trying to understand you. Why? Because you fascinate me. He said it simply, like it was obvious. You rejected me, Emma. Do you know how rarely that happens? Maybe it should happen more often. Keep you humble. Oh, you're doing an excellent job of that. Despite my best efforts, I was starting to like him. Really like him. Which terrified me. Because I knew this was temporary. Men like James didn't end up with women like me. This was just an interesting chapter for him. For me, it could be devastating. Everything changed the night of the project presentation. James had invited me to Peterson Industries headquarters to present the rebrand to his board. I walked into that glass tower feeling like I had at the gala. An imposter playing dress-up. But James met me in the lobby, and his face lit up in a way that made my heart stumble. You look terrified. I'm presenting to billionaires. I'm allowed to be terrified. You're presenting to people who need what you created. They should be grateful you're here. The presentation went perfectly. The board loved the designs, approved everything, and one member even asked for my card for another project. After everyone left, James poured 2 glasses of whiskey in his office. You were brilliant. The designs were good. You were brilliant, he repeated. Emma, why can't you accept that you're exceptional? Because exceptional doesn't pay my bills. Lucky does. And I'm not lucky. What if you are? He set down his glass and moved closer. What if you walked into that gala and caught my attention? What if I happened to love the diner you work at? What if this wasn't random, but right? My breath caught. James. I know you think I'm bored. That I'm playing games. But Emma, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since you told me no. Since you looked at me like I was just a person, not a bank account. I like who I am when I'm with you. I like that you call me on my privilege and make me laugh and challenge every assumption I have. We're from different worlds, I whispered. Then let's build a new one. He cupped my face gently. Let me prove you wrong about me. Please. I should have said no. Protected myself. Been smart. Instead, I kissed him. It was nothing like I expected. Not practiced or perfect. It was desperate and real and full of all the fear and hope I'd been fighting for weeks. When we broke apart, I was crying. If you break my heart, I'll never forgive you. If I break your heart, I'll never forgive myself, he said. Dating James was surreal. He insisted on normal dates. Diners, not fancy restaurants. Movies, not galas. He wanted to know everything about me. My childhood, my dreams, why I'd chosen design over a dozen other paths. Tell me about your father, he said one night, walking through Brooklyn after dinner. I'd avoided this topic, but something about the darkness made it easier. He got sick 3 years ago. Cancer. He didn't have insurance. He'd let it lapse to help pay for my college. By the time we caught it, it was too late. Emma, I'm so sorry. He died 18 months ago. Left me with $200,000 in medical debt. I've paid off $60,000. Only $140 to go. I laughed bitterly. Some inheritance. James stopped walking. Let me help. No. Emma. No, James. I need to do this myself. I need to know I can survive without being saved. He pulled me close. You're not being saved. You're being loved. There's a difference. But I held firm. I wouldn't let him pay my debt. It felt like proving everyone right, that I was just after his money. 6 months into our relationship, James's family insisted on meeting me. His mother took one look at my off-the-rack dress and practiced smile and said, "How charming. James has always had eclectic taste." His father was more direct. "What are your intentions with my son?" "To make him happy," I said simply. "And his money has nothing to do with it." James stood up. "Dad, that's enough." "It's okay," I said. "Mr. Peterson, I know what this looks like. Poor girl, rich boy. It's a convenient narrative. But I make James pay for dates sometimes. I refuse to let him pay off my debt. I signed a document saying I want nothing from your family money. I'm with your son because he makes me laugh. Because he's kind. Because he sees me. Not my circumstances. Just me." Silence fell over the dining room. Then James's younger sister started clapping. "Finally, someone who doesn't want our money. I like her." His mother's expression softened slightly. "You really make him pay?" "Dutch treat on Tuesdays," I confirmed. "His rule, not mine. He said relationships should be equal." After dinner, James found me on the balcony. "I'm sorry about them." "They're protecting you. I get it." "Do you?" He turned me to face him. "Because I'm tired of protecting myself from you, Emma. I'm tired of taking this slow and being careful. I love you. I'm completely, stupidly in love with you." My heart stopped. "James. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. I've been in love with you since you spilled coffee and looked at me like your world was ending. I've been in love with you through every argument about who pays for dinner and every time you push back against my privilege. I'm in love with all of it. All of you." "I love you too," I whispered. "I've been fighting it because I was scared. But I love you too." He kissed me there, overlooking the city where we'd met, where we'd collided in the most unexpected way. A year later, James proposed. Not at a fancy restaurant or exotic location. At Miller's Diner, at 6:47 a.m., right where he'd sat the morning after I rejected him. "Emma Cole," he said, getting down on one knee while George threatened to kick him out for blocking the aisle. "You told me once that we were from different worlds. You were right. My world was smaller before you. Lonelier. Less real. You expanded everything. Challenged everything. You make me better. You make me real. Will you marry me?" I was crying, laughing, and nodding all at once. "Yes. Yes, you ridiculous man. Get up before George actually kicks you out." He slipped the ring on my finger. Simple, perfect, exactly what I would have chosen. "Now will you let me pay off your medical debt as an engagement present?" he asked hopefully. "Absolutely not. But you can match my payments as a joint effort to our future." "You're impossible." "You love it." "I really do." We married 6 months later. Small ceremony, close friends and family. His parents had come around, especially after his mother discovered I was helping James restructure Peterson Industries' charitable foundation to actually help people instead of just looking good for tax purposes. On our wedding night, James whispered, "Thank you for giving me a chance. Even after I walked into your diner and ruined your morning." "You didn't ruin it," I said. "You complicated it. But some complications are worth it." "I'm glad I'm your worthwhile complication." "Me too." 2 years later, we opened Miller's Community Center, funded by Peterson Industries but designed by me. A place where people could access job training, counseling, and resources regardless of their circumstances. At the opening, Jess nudged me. "Remember when you said rich men don't fall for broke waitresses?" I looked at James, cutting the ribbon while George complained that we'd made him wear a tie. "I was wrong about a lot of things." "Yeah, but you were right about one thing. You knew the pattern. You just didn't expect someone to break it." James caught my eye across the crowd and smiled. That same smile from the diner, the one that had started everything. I smiled back, thinking about the girl who'd rejected a billionaire at a gala. The girl who'd been so sure she knew how every story ended. She'd been wrong. And she'd never been happier about it. Because sometimes, the best love stories don't follow any pattern at all. Sometimes, they start with rejection and spilled coffee and stubborn pride. Sometimes, they're messy and complicated and completely unexpected. And sometimes, just sometimes, the waitress and the billionaire do get their happily ever after. Not because of money or status or any fairy tale magic. But because they chose each other. Every single day. Despite the odds, despite the doubts, despite everyone who said it wouldn't work. They chose love. And that made all the difference.